Strategy Show. New face, my face on the MLB Strategy Show, but you guys will still get Adam Ship My Money share. Adam, how are you doing on this Monday morning?
Doing pretty good. How are you doing today, Jake?
Really good. A lot of good pitching, so I'm excited to do the show with you. You are one of the better pitching analysts that I've come across, so this should be a really good one. We've got these two early games. I don't know. Have you looked at those at all? The
I haven't.
Okay.
I can.
No, that's fine. I mean, we can just talk about them generally if we want to. Bauer. So we've got another ace that would be on the slate. So obviously those games are not on the main slate on DK, and I doubt they are on FanDuel. Do you know off the top of your head if they are on FanDuel?
I can tell you in like 2 seconds.
All right.
They are not.
Okay. Cool. So then we won't spend too much time on them. Other than that, how'd the weekend go?
It was rough. I mean, it was relaxing, like life wise, but DFS wise was pretty awful for me. Got my ass kicked in multiple sports, so
Yep.
wasn't that much fun. But
Me too.
it
What other
happens.
sports have you been playing besides MLB?
I I've been playing, still playing postseason NBA whenever
Nice.
the lock time isn't the same as MLB.
Nice. Yeah. Tough to do two different lock times for two sports that are time consuming, especially for NBA. But yeah, I've been doing kind of the same thing. So this one should be fun. 9 games. We will have a Fantasy Cruncher Pro video. Josh will be going over lineup study as part of our new partnership with Fantasy Cruncher. If you guys haven't played around with Fantasy Cruncher Pro, you are missing out. You can join promo code MLB Strategy. You get 50% off your first month of Osmo.com Premium, any package that includes Fantasy Cruncher. So, Adam, I'm sure have you played around with lineup study yet?
No, not yet. I'm pretty excited to look at it more.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome tool. So, um, you can study the top pros. You can study Tom, Alex, any of the other top pros in the industry. It's really amazing. You can see exactly what they're doing with their lineups, what kind of stacks they're using, their player exposures, all that good stuff. All right, let's talk about these 9 games. We'll probably go through pretty quickly, so stop me if I'm moving too fast because I err on the side of going too quickly rather than too slow. So we'll go with the Red Sox and the Orioles. We have a 5.4 implied total for the Red Sox, 4.2 for the Orioles. Josh Smith and John Means on the mound here. Are you going to have any interest in either of these two guys with this loaded pitching slate?
Not planning on it. I mean, obviously, a really, really difficult matchup for John Means. We've talked about him a lot before. That he has. I think he's legitimately improved this year. He's improved his changeup, worked on it in the offseason. It's really become a swing and miss pitch for him, but it also does still get hit for some power when guys do make contact. And there are just so many good right-handed bats in the Boston lineup. That I think can do damage against him. I don't really see myself looking to get there, on a slate with this much pitching. And then Josh Smith, I mean, he's not good. The Orioles are not a good offense, but they also don't strike out a ton. The only really appealing thing is that you have, a $4,000 price tag on Smith on DraftKings that obviously can come in. Like $4,000 pitchers are kind of always appealing just because it's so cheap. It lets you get, an ace with them and then whatever bats you want. But outside of just, price play, hoping for like 10 points, I don't really have interest.
Yeah, I mean, the question I had for Smith is just how deep can he go? He was going like 80 plus
Right.
pitches a few weeks ago, and then he's only had one major league appearance, and I think he just threw 1 inning. So, do you have any idea? Like, you do your own projections, right? So, how many innings are you going to project him for?
I don't do my own. I
Okay.
aggregate, but I was trying to get it pulled up. My internet's running slow, not surprisingly. Did he went back to the minors, right?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, wait, no. I thought. Actually, now I'm forgetting. I looked this up last night. But the last time he pitched, I know like a full game was April 20th, Josh's favorite day. So I don't know what we're going to. Like, I just have no clue how deep he's going to go. So for me, like, I projected him for like 4 innings. and I was still getting to some of him on my first crunch. Obviously, super early, and he could get filtered out once I go through and rank all my lineups. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that I got him even when putting him. I mean, he's just so cheap on DK where if he is going to go even 4 or 5 innings, I'm probably going to play a bunch of him at 4K.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I was expecting too. Like, I don't. Even if he were to go 6 innings, it's not like I'd be projecting him to have like a really good game or anything like that. It's so I would expect it even at 4 or 5 innings, I'd get a decent amount just because his purpose would be in those lineups where I want a DeGrom or Cole or whoever with Red Sox bats or something like that. So it's really basically if you're playing Smith, you are sort of making him an outfielder and like hoping one of your outfielders scores enough points to like replicate your SP2 pitcher spot is kind of how that works out. So even if he goes 4 innings, it's not really a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of that same mindset. What about bats here? I mean, we've got a huge total for the Red Sox. They're at 5.4 implied runs against Means. I know you said he has improved a little bit, but is this a matchup where you think he's going to get knocked around a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's a really dangerous matchup for him because Boston has so many good right-handed bats, and these guys all put the ball in play. On that changeup that has like a 23% swinging strike percentage this year, he is still allowed a 191 expected ISO. So it gets hit reasonably hard when guys do make contact, and you just have really low strikeout percentages in this lineup. JD Martinez in particular, I absolutely love. Obviously, Mookie Betts. But I mean, going down the list, guys like Xander Bogaerts, Michael Chavis, Steve Pearce should be in the lineup. So there's a lot of really good bats here. They are more expensive than they have been recently, but you can use the bottom of the lineup to kind of balance that out using guys like Pearce and Eduardo Nunez that aren't as appealing of hitters as the other guys, but they do give you a little bit of salary relief within the stack.
Yep, kind of have to. I mean, with all this expensive pitching, you kind of have to pick and choose some of these guys at the bottom because the Red Sox are probably going to be a pretty appealing stack for most people. Looking at their ownership today, they are right now we have them projected as the highest owned stack, and for good reason. But Toronto, surprisingly, number 2, at least as far as just hitter exposure goes. So I guess we'll get to that in just a second. But did JD's price? Yeah, he's up to 5,100. I mean, still probably not priced up high enough, but over the weekend he was like 4,400 each day.
Yeah, his price tag over the weekend was insane.
Yeah, so he was like my highest exposed player for 3 days straight.
Yep.
Anything else in this game? Are you looking at Orioles bats at all?
Not really. The guys that I would want are priced up, like VR, Mancini, and Dwight Smith are all expensive. I think that looking to someone like Rio Ruiz is reasonable at third base. 3,400 on DraftKings has some pop facing a pitcher in Smith that isn't going to miss a lot of bats and just offers some reasonably high upside salary relief on the slate where we're looking to spend money at pitcher. So don't mind going to him. Don't mind going to like a Chris Davis. Steve Wilkerson's cheap. It's probably not going to be like full Baltimore stacks, but using 1 or 2 of these guys just as a punt play, I think is fine.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get to them as punt plays, especially like 5-2-1s. They might be my 2 or my 1.
Right.
Especially if Smith is going to become popular. So that's really all I have for this game. You ready to move it on?
Yeah.
Cool. We've got the Twins and the Blue Jays, 4.6 implied total for the Twins, 4.6 as well for the Blue Jays. Got some weather in this game, but they can just close the roof in Toronto, so don't need to worry about that. Martin Perez and Marcus Stroman, the new and improved Martin Perez. What are you doing with him today?
Yeah, it's kind of appealing because as good as the pitching on this slate is, it's kind of all at the top. The mid-range is not very good, and Perez clearly has improved. He's throwing like 95 miles an hour. He has a 10.5% swinging strike percentage to righties so far, but it's still a dangerous matchup against a ton of right-handed power in a good hitter's park. And I think the price tags on the Toronto hitters are going to make me lean more towards going to them than going to Perez, because you just get so much upside by getting guys like Randall Grichuk and Vlad Guerrero into your lineup for cheap price tags that will allow me to spend up at pitcher and still get reasonable bats in there. So I definitely expect to have more Toronto than I do Martin Perez, even though I do believe that he is a much better pitcher than he was in previous years.
Yeah, so coming off that huge outing against Houston, I think it was 8 innings, 7 Ks, just kind of out of nowhere. I mean, I know you and Josh had mentioned that he had been improving, but it's not like he was missing a ton of bats. I think he only had a 6% swinging strike rate in that game, but impressive nonetheless. Did we just get? I think we may have just got. Oh, we just got the totals updated on the screen. I saw something change all of a sudden. But like looking at these price tags for like Vlad Guerrero Jr. I know he hasn't started off super strong. I don't even think he has a home run yet, and he's only 3,900 smoke at 4,200. Grichuk a guy like 4,100. So I'm probably going to get to some Blue Jays. I don't like that they're up there with the Red Sox as the chalkiest stack right now, but it does make sense with the prices, like you mentioned. So hard for me to avoid some of these value Blue Jays bats. What about Stroman versus the Twins bats here?
I mean, I like Stroman as a pitcher. I don't really see getting to him a whole lot today because he still isn't a great DFS guy. Like he gets ground balls, he limits runs, but he doesn't get a whole lot of strikeouts, which I think he could if he wanted to, but he just doesn't. He's perfectly fine letting you pound him to the ground. And then on top of that, it's just a dangerous Minnesota lineup. The top part is pretty tough to strike out. They have a lot of power throughout. So I don't see myself getting to a whole lot of Stroman here. I think going to guys like Kepler and Polanco is okay. Rosario as well. Their price tags are pretty reasonable in a hitter-friendly park. I don't love taking guys against Stroman, but I would rather take lefties than righties, and they do have some good lefties at the top of the lineup, so I don't mind that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't like taking any hitters really against Stroman, especially on a slate this size where we've got a bunch of options, but you got to take hitters against someone on this slate, so you're probably not going to do it a ton against like Scherzer and DeGrom and some of these other guys. So maybe Stroman's one of the better guys to target, especially looking at some of these Twins prices. I like Kepler, like you mentioned, and then Polanco, so the two guys right at the top, 1-2, assuming they go that way, and then Rosario for 4,500. That's just a really tough top four for the Twins. A completely different looking lineup than they had last year and much, much deeper. So I don't know about you, but I haven't really been targeting Twins all that much with pitching.
No, neither have I. At the beginning of the season, I didn't really buy into them being that good, but I changed that pretty quickly and haven't really been going there.
Yeah. Anyway, we can get you and Adam to talk some FanDuel today. Are you playing FanDuel? I think you mentioned over the weekend you were gonna play FanDuel for the first time.
Yeah, playing FanDuel. Haven't blown through all of my monthly money on there yet. So.
Yeah, I don't play there very often. I usually just stick to DK and then Yahoo, of course.
Yeah.
But we'll try to mention anything FanDuel. If you have anything specific, if you looked at the pricing over there, feel free to drop in.
Yeah, I mean, there's been nothing like different so far. I mean, okay. If I'm not rostering a pitcher on DraftKings, I'm sure as hell not rostering him on FanDuel.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Toronto bats are cheap there. All bats are cheap on FanDuel, but Toronto bats are cheap there. Boston is still a really good stack there. They're much more affordable. Steve Pearce and Nunez are both $2,200, so that helps a lot. But yeah, I mean, so far there hasn't been anything that is different between any site.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll just try to keep an eye on FanDuel. Don't want to leave out people. Anything else here that you want to talk about before we move on?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Vlad Guerrero is 2,700 on FanDuel. I mean, he's cheap.
Are you? I think you're cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, sorry. I'm back now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you worried at all about Vlad's like slow start here?
No, because unlike a lot of people, I didn't expect him to come in and like be the best hitter in baseball. It's a learning curve. I mean, he's still coming up from AAA. He's still young, and we're still talking about 10, 15 games or something like that. So, no, I mean, I expect him to be a good hitter. I don't like Ronald Acuna last year coming up and being amazing. Like, is the exception. It's not the rule, even for top hitting prospects. So, no, I mean, I expected some struggles. I expected he'll have some success at some point, and when he's cheap, you're still getting a lot of upside.
Yeah, I'm not worried either, but it's just so funny that everyone was so excited, and he's been pretty quiet since he's come up. So, not quite a Triple Crown winner just yet, but I'm sure he'll get close to that at some point, according to DFS Twitter. All right, let's go to Arizona and Tampa Bay. We've got a 3.5 implied total for the D-backs, 4.6 for the Rays. Merrill Kelly and one of my favorite pitchers, I'm sure one of yours as well, Blake Snell, going for the Rays. Where does Snell kind of rank on the depth chart for you on both DK and FanDuel?
Second for me on DraftKings, I think, behind DeGrom. He's only $300 less than DeGrom is. On FanDuel, he is sitting at 9,900, so he's a lot. He's like 1,200 less than DeGrom. I think he's my favorite pitcher on FanDuel. I would say he's second on DraftKings.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's right up there for me. He's going to be 1 or 2. I think I got a lot of Scherzer actually on my first crunch, but obviously super early. He's $54 on Yahoo. Scherzer's 58, so maybe I don't know. I mean, that's pretty similar to the other sites. I think Scherzer is priced up as one of the higher guys. DeGrom 57, so he's actually cheaper than all of DeGrom, Cole, and Scherzer on Yahoo today. So I don't know. I just love Snell. I have him projected as I think the highest, but oddly enough, I didn't really get to him as much as a guy like Scherzer. So I'm not really sure what that's about. But I did factor in ownership in my first crunch. So that's probably why he's just got a lower exposure cap than a guy like Scherzer, who's 35% owned, whereas Snell is just 21% owned. Yeah, I mean, are you targeting any bats here against Snell?
No, I mean it's a good hitter or a good pitcher's park. Snell's just really good. I don't have any reason to be going to Arizona here.
Yeah,
especially because with all the pitching on this slate, like Snell obviously will get ownership, but it's not like we're going to be talking about him getting 60% or something like that. So you're not getting you're not getting enough leverage that I would want to go to such a suboptimal spot.
Right. Yeah, there's a few more pitchers. Or I basically target against everyone over Snell and a guy like Scherzer and DeGrom. So I agree with you. I think there's no real reason to get to these guys, and none of them are getting ownership, which isn't really surprising on DK especially. What about the other side? Merrill Kelly going up against these Rays bats. You said it's a good pitcher's park, but are you targeting some Rays here? Pretty decent total, 4.6 implied.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same thing that you had said about Stroman, about you have to take hitters against someone on this slate. Kelly, I think, is fine. He's done a pretty good job of limiting damage against him. Not a lot of swings and misses for him, though. He's only allowed a 153 expected ISO to lefties, 234 to righties is kind of high, or is high. But I do have interest in Tampa bats because you just have so much power here. Guys like Brandon Lau, Tommy Pham is reasonably priced. Nate Lowe is inexpensive. So going to some of those guys, I mean, Kelly's not going to miss a lot of bats. He's going to let you hit the ball. And when you have as much power as Tampa does, they have a lot of guys that strike out and, hit for power. So against pitchers like Kelly, I don't mind looking to those guys, especially on slates like this where there really aren't many gas can pitchers to target.
Yeah, Nate Lau on Yahoo is just $9. Some of these other guys in the mid-teens. Avisel Garcia, 14. G-Man Choi, just 15. Yandy Diaz, 17. So I like those guys on Yahoo, especially on DK. Some of them are a little bit more priced up. Brandon Lau. I keep getting the Low and Lau confused. Brandon's Lau, right? Nate is Low.
Yeah, Brandon Lau, Nate Lowe.
Okay, yeah. I probably won't remember that the next time we're on. But anyways, there's definitely some value on these Rays bats. Kelly, again, like Stroman, not a guy I love targeting against. He's a 30-year-old rookie. Is that right?
He was pitching in Korea, either Korea or Japan. I think it was Korea.
Oh, he's the one that he started throwing like 97 out of nowhere after the Korean League, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. Someone asked, are you concerned about Arizona raking versus lefties?
No, because the lefties they faced aren't Blake Snell.
Yep. Agreed. All right. Anything else?
Also, Blake Snell's really good against. Blake Snell doesn't have platoon splits. He's just good against everyone.
Yeah, he's insane. Has he kind of lost his walk issues entirely? I haven't really looked at that this season, but I know last season he got a ton better at just not walking guys outside of a couple starts. But has he just completely fixed that?
I'm pulling it up now. I actually don't know how he had been doing this year either. He has, yeah, I mean, so far this year, 7.4% walk percentage. Last year, he was at 9.1. The year before that, 10.8. The year before that, 12.7.
12.
So still trending in the right direction. Obviously won't have the year he had last year because he stranded 88% of base runners last year. That's not going to happen again. But, still striking out well over 30% of hitters.
Yeah, I like it. All right, before we move on to the next game, just want to give a shout out to Yahoo. They are our presenting sponsor. Go over there, play on Yahoo, use our referral link. I will try to find that in chat once I drop this next game off to Adam. But we both agree you should be spending your first few $100s over at Yahoo every day. The rake is lower, 12% on a lot of these tournaments compared to 16 that you're seeing on FanDuel and DraftKings. What do you like about Yahoo, Adam, besides the rake?
Yeah, I mean it's a really good spot. Like I think the large majority of people that play DFS, like you said, should be spending their first few $100s there, because it's a completely different game. Like you're not at as much of a disadvantage as you are on DraftKings and FanDuel. It's a 10 max. The tournaments are 10 max. You can't upload lineups, so you have to build them by hand. So for the guys that are running 150 lineups in every tournament on DraftKings and FanDuel that are really good, if they're going to play over at Yahoo, it actually takes them time. It takes time out of their day, and it's something that they probably aren't really doing or paying as much attention to. So you're not playing against those guys, and if you are, you're playing against 10 of their lineups instead of 150. It's just the most plus EV tournaments that you can play right now.
Yep, 100% agree. And if you do like to crunch, like I do, you can just crunch out 100 Yahoo lineups or even just 20 or 10 and just copy and paste. It takes 5 extra minutes for a very positive expected value return. So go over, play on Yahoo. We'll be talking about some Yahoo pricing as well going forward. Just wanted to give them a shout out because they are our sponsor for the MLB DFS strategy show. All right, let's talk about the Nationals and the Brewers. We got a 4.4 implied total for the Nationals, 4.2 for the Brewers. Max Scherzer, Yuli Chacin on the mound here. So you mentioned Snell is right up there. Did you say DeGrom was number 1? So where does that put Scherzer for you?
Yeah, I mean, as weird as it sounds for me, I think Scherzer is like my number 4 guy on the slate, and it's not like something I feel super strongly about. Like if you told me he was higher than that for you, I wouldn't argue or anything. But for me, it's Snell in a good pitcher's park against Arizona. You have DeGrom, who is just phenomenal and facing the Padres. You have Gerrit Cole facing Kansas City, and then you have Scherzer in the worst park for pitchers out of that entire group, facing the best offense out of that entire group. Tons of left-handed power in the lineup for Milwaukee. I expect the strikeouts to be there, but he has had pretty significant splits basically forever where he's well above average against lefties, but he strikes out almost 50% of righties that he faces. Not a lot of righties in this lineup, and he does struggle with left-handed power. There's so much of it in this lineup that I think the most likely outcome is that you still get him striking out 8-9 guys, but that he gives up a couple of home runs. And on this particular slate, I think that there's a good chance at least one of these pitchers is close to perfect today. So it's splitting hairs, but I have him behind those 3.
I have him I had him number 1 right now. He'll probably come down once I get the lineup rankings going because he's 35% owned on DK right now. He's the most expensive guy on Yahoo. On Yahoo, actually, I'd probably be more likely to go to him because the pricing is a little bit softer in some of these bats we want to use. So I wouldn't have an issue with him. Raw points wise, he's up there with anyone. The Brewers have a 26% K rate versus righties this year. Surprisingly, only a 97 WRC plus, I think, if I'm looking at this correctly. So I thought they were a little bit better against righties overall. I mean, they still have a ton of power. Yelich back, hit a home run yesterday. So it seems like he'd be pretty healthy. But yeah, I don't disagree on it. It is a tougher matchup for him than some of these other guys, DeGrom and Snell especially. So I mean, you could rank any of these guys 1 through 4. I think there'd be an argument for ranking them any way you want to. So it's just going to be a matter of preference. It's going to be based on ownership for me, but it's not like I'm avoiding Scherzer or anything here.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point too. Like when the final ownership update comes out, if Scherzer has dropped and everyone's going to Snell and Cole and DeGrom, like it wouldn't take a lot for Scherzer to be the guy that I'm going to in tournaments because he has just as much upside as everyone else. I just think the matchup's a little bit worse.
Yep. I mean, just a lot more dangerous. And he is a guy who will give up a lot of hard contact, especially to lefties. Doesn't strike them out at the same rate as righties. I mean, because no one does. Like, he just strikes out seemingly every righty he faces. But if they go Gamble, Yelich, Moustakas, Shaw, Thames, not a ton of strikeout equity in that top 6 for a guy like Scherzer.
Right.
So, what about these Nationals bats here? We like lefties against Chacin. Are you seeing anything you want to target here?
Chacin. I actually have some interest in him. I think he's my favorite of the SP2 options. He's 6,900 on DraftKings. Obviously, you're not looking to go there on FanDuel. The opportunity cost is too high. But 6,900 on DraftKings and $32 on Yahoo, both really reasonable price tags. And you just have Washington so banged up right now, and it happens to be basically all of their left-handed power hitters that are injured. Their projected lineup right now has Adam Eaton as the only left-handed hitter in the lineup. Chacin has always basically been death against right-handed hitters in particular. This season, 288 expected WOBA, 10.7% swinging strike percentage. If you go back to last season, a 284 expected WOBA, 11.8% swinging strike percentage, and gets ground balls, gets some swings and misses on his slider to righties. There are strikeouts in this lineup for Washington as well. I think that he's I'd rather go to Chacin than Martin Perez or Merrill Kelly or Michaelis. So, yeah, I mean, I'll get to some Ulysses Chacin, not really on the Washington bats.
Oh, okay. Wow, I didn't expect that. I guess looking at some of these guys in this Nats lineup, like Defoe batting third, Defoe's second, Eaton third is what we're expecting. Stevenson in the lineup, he strikes out a ton versus both hands. We just got our MLB rankings and projections updated, so if you guys are premium members, you can go check those out, plug them in, start running crunches or looking at who's projected to be higher between these top 4 stud pitchers. Yeah, I guess now that I look at it more, like, who are you really going to target against Chacin? So
right. Maybe
we should be. I should be looking at him. He's a guy I kind of blew over when I was looking at this last night. But 12% ownership against a team that's really just watered down. Matt Adams on the DL yesterday, so he's not going to be in the lineup. Yeah, I guess I should take a closer look at Chacin throughout the day here. Anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, like the only lefty, even if Washington does get a couple extra lefties in there, it's guys like Defoe and Stevenson that aren't really that scary. So it's not like I am like seeking out Chacin. Like I would much rather get, two of the, ace pitchers or something, but he does offer some value, and I don't think that there's a lot of good pitching around them.
Yep, I can't disagree with that. All right, let's go on to the Marlins and the Cubs. We've got a 3.2 implied total for Miami, 4.6 for Chicago. Are we going to have any weather issues here? I think we're going to be good. It's 46 degrees, though, in Chicago. Wind blowing in, so pitcher's paradise here. And a guy that might go a little bit overlooked, Cole Hamels. He is facing off against Sandy Alcantara. What do you see here that you want to target, if anything?
I like Cole Hamels a lot. I expect that a lot of my DraftKings lineups will be, DeGrom or someone like DeGrom plus Hamels, spending around $20K at pitcher. And then, getting in some of the value bats that we've talked about. But Hamels has, good swing and miss stuff. He turned it around last season. It's continued this season so far. Against righties, he has allowed a 313 expected WOBA, 11.5% swinging strike percentage. His changeup in particular this year, a 28.5% swinging strike percentage to righties with no power allowed. This Miami team has very little power in their lineup. And like you said, the hitting conditions in Chicago today are not expected to be very friendly. So assuming that the wind doesn't flip and start blowing out or something, it sets up as a really, really good spot for Hamels. He's at an affordable price tag. Even $9,000 on FanDuel is fine. I'd rather get to Snell for $9,900, but if I can't find that $900, I'm fine getting to Hamels even on the one pitcher site.
Yeah, he's way priced up on Yahoo. He's $54. That's the exact same price as Snell. So for me, it's probably going to be a little bit tough to get there, just the talent gap, and I think the raw upside that Snell has compared to Hamels. And it's not like Hamels doesn't have upside here against the Marlins. They strike out a ton. I guess, are you concerned about the righties here? I mean, the array of righties. It looks like all these guys in the lineup, in the projected lineup, are right-handed. Is that worrisome at all?
No, not really. I mean, he's been good against both sides. He has the changeup that gets a ton of swings and misses and can neutralize these guys, and they're not particularly scary either. I mean, like Anderson, Castro, Alfaro, those guys are okay. Peter O'Brien has power, but he also strikes out like 1,000,000% of the time. So no, it's not really a concern for me because Hamels, does have the arsenal to get through right-handed hitters.
Sure. All right. Any hitters you want to target against Hamels if you're not going to Hamels in certain lineups?
Yeah, I mean, you can go at catcher. You have Alfaro, who has some power. Also, has enough speed. He might be able to steal on Hamels if he gets on. Hamels not the best at holding runners. So going there, going to like a cheap Brian Anderson. Those are guys that Peter O'Brien, another one that, like I said, he does have power. Those are guys that kind of like we talked about with the Orioles. They're not perfect hitters. You're not feeling good about getting them in your lineup, but they're cheap enough that they give you some upside because they can, they have home run power. So using them in that way, like I'd still rather get to like Chris Davis than anyone on the Marlins, but I think you can use them in the same way.
Yeah. Anderson was the one guy I was looking at here. $12 on Yahoo. He's pretty cheap across the board. Yeah, it's hard to target a bunch of hitters in 45-degree weather with some decent wind, 10 miles per hour blowing in Wrigley here. What about Alcantara versus the Chicago Cubs bats here?
I don't have a lot of interest in either side. I think Alcantara is like, I think he's talented. I think that he's someone who a year or two from now is going to be someone that we like rostering in DFS. He has the stuff. He just hasn't really put it all together, especially against lefties. Strikes out a ton of righties, doesn't strike out a lot of lefties, doesn't allow a lot of power to lefties either. Just doesn't get the swings and misses that he does against righties. You're going to probably have a left-handed heavy lineup for the Cubs. I think that going to like a Kyle Schwarber makes some sense in tournaments just because he has so much power. Obviously, not a great overall hitter, but does have plenty of power and normally comes at low ownership because he gets down in the order. But it's just not a spot that I really like getting to because I do think Alcantara's stuff is good. And then you look at the price tags on these, Cubs bats that you would want to get to. Like on DraftKings, Rizzo is 5,200, Javi Baez is 5,900, Contreras is 4,800. You're paying more for them against Alcantara than you are for like the Red Sox against Means.
Yep. On Yahoo, I think Alcantara is going to be a guy that I get to quite a bit at just $27 near minimum salary. He's he's one of the cheapest pitchers on the slate. He's just $2 more than Josh Smith, and he's not a guy we're worried about going deep if things are going well. And just again, he gets to pitch in the same weather as Hamels does, so he's got that in his favor. He does have pretty decent arsenal, so he's going to be a guy that I would play on Yahoo. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to a ton of him on DK. I'm going to have to see how lineup construction breaks down, but it looks like I was able to get a bunch of quality hitters while getting like DeGrom, Snell lineups, DeGrom, Cole, stuff like that. So probably won't get to a ton of them on DK. And then I didn't get a lot of Cubs bats, I don't believe, either, which I'm not too worried about. All right.
Yeah, I like your call on Yahoo too. I think that, I mean, he's almost minimum price, and he's just too good for that price tag.
Adam liked Baltimore bats. Got to stop hyping up his shitty favorite teams. Are you on Baltimore? It seems like you're never on Baltimore.
No. I said that Chris Davis and Rio Ruiz have enough power for their price tags that you can use them.
Yeah. Not really a rousing endorsement. Like he was saying, all in Baltimore stacks.
I mean, like I do like Chris Davis.
Just as a hitter, or as a player
like today against Josh Smith at $3,100. I mean, he actually has been hitting for power. He's actually been unlucky this season as a hitter. I think that his struggles kind of have gotten overblown. But yeah, I'm not on the Orioles like as a team. I think they suck.
Yeah. All
I've
right.
actually a couple times in Slack had to like people have been like, "Can we admit that the Orioles are better than we expected?" And I'm just like, "No, they suck. They've been really lucky on balls in play so far."
Yeah, I try to avoid as many Orioles as possible, but on this slate, gonna get to some of those power guys, especially Phillies and Cardinals, two teams that do not suck. Vince Velasquez and Miles Michaelis, 4.6 implied total for the Phillies, 4.8 for the Cardinals. Both of these pitchers are guys that I'm just kind of okay with. I think Velasquez more than Michaelis for me, but um, both of these guys with really tough matchups, I think. Are you targeting either one of them?
No, I don't think so. Michaelis's price tag is okay given how weak the mid range of pitching is, but he's just not a guy that gets strikeouts. And Philadelphia works pitch counts so well, makes pitchers throw a lot of pitches, and they just have a lot of really good hitters that can make life difficult. So, like I would just rather save a little bit of money and get to Chassin against the Nats AAA lineup, or just go all the way down and hope that I get like 10 points from Josh Smith against the Orioles, than go with Michaelis here.
Yeah, I didn't get to either of these guys in my first 150, so I'm pretty good on that. And the bats, like I love Harper here. He's $16 on Yahoo. Um, it's crazy. McCutcheon's 16 as well. The only guy that's priced up is Reese Hoskins. So I would have to imagine the Phillies get some popularity over on Yahoo. They're just way too cheap, and you're gonna need some cheap bats on a slate like this where you want to pay $50+ for your SP1 and maybe even your SP2. So that's a stack I absolutely love on Yahoo. Even though Michaelis, I expected him to be better last year. I mean, there was kind of some hype behind this guy, and he just doesn't really get enough swings and misses for my liking. So
He's basically Merrill Kelly is Miles Michaelis. Like they're the same pitcher.
did Michaelis go to the Korean League as well?
Yeah, he went to Japan, I think.
Japan, yeah, yeah. Harper blows, noted. Gonna have to disagree with that. But yeah, like just looking at this stack price on Yahoo for the Phillies, it seems like a spot I want to attack against Michaelis. And then, would you be looking at? I can't remember if you mentioned Cardinals bats. Would you be looking at them as one-offs or in a stack, or just kind of avoiding them?
I like them in general, whether it's one-offs, mini stacks, full stacks, whatever. Velasquez obviously has good stuff, but you have a lot of really good hitters in the Cardinals lineup, a lot of good fastball hitters, and Velasquez really relies on his 94, 95 mile an hour fastball, followed up with he basically is a two-pitch pitcher, fastball breaking ball, but you just have so many good fastball hitters in the Cardinals lineup. You also have pretty appealing price tags on guys. Matt Carpenter not off to a good start this year, but we have such a long track record for Matt Carpenter that I'm not concerned about that. He's 3,200 on FanDuel. He's 3,800 on DraftKings. Just a really nice price tag there with the platoon advantage. $14 on Yahoo is really cheap as well. And then guys like Goldschmidt, DeYoung, Ozuna, Martin, like they just have so much power throughout their lineup against a pitcher in Velasquez who will give up home runs. And so, yeah, I think the Cardinals probably go a little bit overlooked because Velasquez is a reasonably good pitcher, but I think they have a ton of upside here.
Yeah, I thought Velasquez might get some ownership because of the seeing a bunch of righties in this projected lineup. But like the Cardinals don't even strike out that much against righties. 22% K rate for the season, a top 5 WRC plus versus right-handed pitching. So I'm kind of good with just avoiding Velasquez. And then actually the Cardinals on my first crunch were my number one stack. So you can just fit him in really easily on DK with Fowler at 3,900. If he's in, Martinez 4,300. I just have no problems with any of these prices. And then Matt Carpenter probably going to be my highest owned guy, or one of my highest owned hitters on the slate at 3,800.
Yeah, and if I remember right, you're like a pretty big StatCast guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, last year more, but this year I've been running the hockey projections, and that takes up a bunch of time. But I'll get into it more and more as hockey continues to slow down.
Yeah, I was just like looking through quickly at Cardinals hitters against like the 93 to 96 mile an hour fastball range that Velasquez lives in on like 65% of his pitches, and they're just all like 400 plus expected WOBA, like 300 plus or 250 plus expected ISO, like throughout the entire order.
Jeez. All right. Well, that's good to hear. I'm definitely gonna have a lot of Cardinals, and I like that they don't have one of the higher implied totals. I mean, it's a decent total, 4.8, but it's not like they're number one or number two. I'm seeing a bunch of totals that are around that price, so I hope they get a little bit lost in the shuffle here. All right, KC and Houston, we've got a 3.4 implied total for the Royals, 5.1 for the Astros. Jake Junis on the mound against Gerrit Cole. Cole is a guy that I would like to get to if there weren't three other studs in his price range that I think are just as good of a matchup as him. So where does he kind of rank for you amongst the top guys?
Yeah, like I have him behind DeGrom. I have him behind Snell. I have him slightly ahead of Scherzer, but like on DraftKings, he's more expensive than Scherzer too, so that kind of balances it out. I don't expect that I'll get tons of him just because I do like the other two guys more.
Okay. He's actually the chalkiest guy right now on DK. Is that a little bit surprising to you?
Yeah, because he's the most expensive.
Yeah. I mean, usually when it's like this, you just take the cheapest guy if they're all similar. Snell's 1,000 cheaper on DK. They're all right next to each other on Yahoo, so it's not that big of a difference. You can just kind of mix and match, and that's probably what I'll do with my 10 lineups. But yeah, I'm surprised. You're going to need that extra 1,000 looking at how some of these lineups are coming together. So I wonder if he kind of falls off into the 20-25% range by the time we get to lock. Hitters here against Junis. Are you targeting Astros bats?
Yeah, I like Astros bats here for a couple of reasons. For one, like we know Junis has reasonably good strikeout stuff to righties, has a really, really good slider that when he's able to bury it, gets a lot of swings and misses. But he also gives a ton of power. And when you get pitchers like that going against a team that doesn't really swing and miss, and they're in a park that, while overall it's not a great hitter's park, it does play off right-handed power in particular with the Crawford boxes and left.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's a really scary spot for Junis. You also have a really bad Kansas City bullpen behind Junis. Getting to these Houston guys, I think, makes a lot of sense. Alex Bregman, in particular, best slider hitter on the team, really, I think, is a very, very difficult matchup for Junis and the way he pitches. So singling him out is like my favorite bat from Houston. But throughout the lineup, you just have so much power. Altuve is only $4,400 on DraftKings. That's a really nice price tag for him. Correa hitting for power again this year is really good to see. It kind of just deepens this order even more. It's a really tough spot for Junis, I think. And it's another team like Boston where you can go to the bottom of the order and you still get home run upside. Guys like Tyler White and Robinson Chirinos are inexpensive, but they still can hit 2 home runs. And that, obviously makes the stack really appealing.
Yeah, Junis getting very little ownership, probably going to stay there. Looking at what the Astros do against righties, it makes sense. They have the second lowest K percentage versus righties on the season at just 18.3%. Only the Angels lower. They have the highest WRC plus against right-handed pitching as well. So don't be deceived by the array of righties they have in their lineup. They hit right-handed pitching about as well as anyone over the last 2 or 3 years, actually, since the World Series run. So yeah, I think I'm probably off Junis. Pretty safe to say. $27 on Yahoo. He's near minimum salary. I think I'd rather go to Alcantara. It's just a better matchup, I think, and better pitching weather, controlled environment in Houston if they close the roof or it's 80 degrees and pretty humid, it looks like. So I think I'm avoiding Junis, and I will have a bunch of Astros bats, especially on Yahoo. They're priced up a little bit, but I think I'm going to still be able to get to them with some of these cheap one-offs that I like elsewhere. Are you targeting any bats against Gerrit Cole? Do you like that as leverage?
So I was looking through because Kansas City, with how much speed they have, they are a team where you could grab some one-offs and have a lot of upside against Cole, but they're not really priced down for the matchup. Merrifield and Mondesi are very reasonably priced on Yahoo at $16 and $17, but on FanDuel and DraftKings, FanDuel they're $3,800 and $3,900. Not the end of the world, but not really great price tags. On DraftKings, they're $4,900 and $5,100. Like you're paying basically full price for these guys against Cole. If they get on, they'll run, but they have to get on, and you're there are just so many other options that we can go to for less or similar price tags and better matchups. So I don't really see getting to Kansas City.
Yeah, I forgot about Cole's struggles with base runners. So yeah, $16 and $17 on Yahoo. That's kind of crazy. Those guys are going to go virtually unowned, I would think. But yeah, on DK, $5,100 and $4,900, probably going to be a lot tougher to get to. And I don't really want to stack up the Royals, so I doubt I get to a bunch of them over there. Anything more you want to talk about here before we move on?
Nope.
All right. Atlanta and LA, the Dodgers, 3.7 implied total for the Braves, 4.5 for the Dodgers. Kevin Gausman going up against Walker Buehler. Gausman had, shall we say, an abbreviated outing against Miami a few days ago. I think that was on Friday, wasn't that? So
maybe
Thursday or Friday. Yeah. So he's gonna start again today on short rest, I suppose. Did you see that, by the way? What do you think of that?
No, I didn't see it. Like, I heard he threw behind him. I mean, it's tough because it's part of baseball, obviously, and you kind of knew it was coming. But at the same time, what's the umpire supposed to do? Like, it obviously was intentional and obviously was coming. Like, I don't know.
So what's the history there? I have no clue on the backstory.
Urania hit Acuna in the head last season. I don't remember exactly what happened, but yeah, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I know there's bad blood between Urania and the Braves, and then he just threw behind Urania as soon as Urania came up to hit.
Not obvious at all.
Right.
What did they expect? I mean, I don't know. I'm glad they threw him out, though. I mean, just send a message that you can't really do that. I'm very anti throw baseballs at people's heads, which apparently is a hot take to some people. But yeah, I'm kind of glad they threw him out. So, and I didn't have Gausman that night in DFS. Did he burn you?
No, I liked him that day, but it was another slate where there was just a million pitchers, and he just happened to kind of be the guy that got left off a lot of my teams.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so are you going to him here against the Dodgers? They're super cheap on DK.
Yeah, they are, and it's really tough for me to get to Gausman. I like him as a pitcher. I think that he will be good going forward. I like changes that he's made since going to Atlanta, a team that actually uses analytics and can get him to throw his best pitch more often than he was with the Orioles. But it's a really tough matchup here. He's not really discounted either. You look at $8,400 for Gausman or $9,000 for Hamels against the Marlins, and I really want to find that money for Hamels instead. And you mentioned, how cheap the Dodgers are. You just get a lot of upside going to a $3,600 Corey Seager or $3,900 Justin Turner. Muncie's inexpensive. There's just such good hitters in this lineup that give you a lot of power for reasonable price tags. I'd rather be on that side of it.
Yeah, and they're also really, really cheap on DK, on Yahoo as well. Seager $11, Turner $15, Jock $13, Muncie $12, Kike $13. The only guy that's priced up, not surprisingly, is Cody Bellinger. He's got a questionable tag next to his name. We don't have him right now on our projected lineup, but this could change. So just keep an eye out for that. It's not really going to sway me either way. He's going to be, I'm sure he's priced up on DK. I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, he's $5,700 on DK.
Okay.
He's $1,400 more expensive than he's $800 more expensive than Peterson, and then $1,400 more expensive than any other hitter on the team.
Jeez. Yeah, so he's just on an absolutely epic tear right now. No real reason for me to stop playing him here or playing the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a team that, for whatever reason, the numbers I look at, they just always pop for me whenever they're against a non-elite pitcher. So going to get to a lot of Dodgers, I'm sure, by lock if I haven't already. Gausman's a guy I respect, but you got to target against someone here, and I'd rather just bet on some of this talent of these Dodgers hitters.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at, too. It's not that I think it's a good matchup against Gausman by any stretch, but they're just really talented hitters, and they're not expensive.
How about Buehler for $9,400 on DK? He's at 5% ownership right now. Against the Braves, it's a really, really tough matchup, at least from what I'm looking at. What are you doing with him here?
Not really interested in either side. It's just tough. He falls through the cracks for me when you can get to, a Snell or Scherzer or DeGrom, whoever, for a little bit more. You can get Hamels for a little bit less against Miami. It would become a little bit more appealing if Acuna does miss this game, currently listed with a Q tag, but still it's just kind of a spot where I'm not getting to Atlanta, and I'm not getting to Buehler.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I got to any Atlanta. I got to 5% Atlanta stacks, main stacks. I'd probably be okay with that. Buehler, another guy I don't want to target, but he doesn't really. Yeah, there's really nothing that I'm looking at for Buehler that I want to target. It's just that Freddie Freeman would be in the lineup, and Acuna, $17 on Yahoo. I don't know. Their prices don't look really great anyway. Anywhere, I should say. So I'm probably just off both sides of that. I don't really have real interest in Buehler here.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
All right. Is this the last game? Yeah, we're flying through this. All right. We've got the Mets and the Padres, 3.7 implied total for the Mets, 3.3 for the Padres. Our last stud of the night, Jacob deGrom, going up against Chris Paddock. What do we do with deGrom here besides play him?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to get as much deGrom as I can. I love the price tag. He's 10-2 on DraftKings, which, it's cheaper than Cole. It's slightly more expensive than Scherzer and Snell, but you have a right-handed heavy Padres lineup that has plenty of strikeouts in it. They have a lot of power, but you don't worry about that too much with deGrom. He's 11-1 on FanDuel, which, again, that makes it a little bit different because there's just a bigger gap between him and Snell or him and Buehler or, him and Hamels. So it's a little bit tougher there. But, again, he's still cheaper than Gerrit Cole. He's a little more expensive than Scherzer. So I still like him if I can get to him. And you should be able to because FanDuel's hitter pricing is so soft. And then on Yahoo, kind of in that same price range mixed up with everyone else. So it plays out, kind of similarly to DraftKings where you aren't getting a big discount on, Cole or Scherzer compared to him. So I'd just rather get there because I think that as good as all these other pitchers are, I think deGrom's the best out of the group. I think his matchup is just as good as anyone else's. So I just want as much to take deGrom as I can get to, really, regardless of site.
Yep, on a team level, Padres 27% K rate against righties this season. They have just an 84 WRC plus, 179 ISO isn't too bad. Their on-base percentage is one of the worst in the league. At 285, they are only in front of the Giants in that category versus righties. So a lot to like for the matchup. deGrom, one of, if not the best pitcher in the MLB right now. So there's just nothing really bad to say about deGrom. And right now, he's not even the chalkiest pitcher. I would imagine he becomes the chalkiest pitcher on DK and probably on each site by the time we get to lock. But for me, it's not going to be enough ownership where I need to start feeling like I need to get off of him.
Right.
Paddock at 9,200 on DK. On Yahoo, he is 48. Wow. He's not going to be in play for me on Yahoo, I don't think. But what are you doing with Paddock against hopefully a normal lineup for the Mets after the garbage they rolled out yesterday?
Yeah, that was such a bad lineup yesterday. I don't think I'll ever have that much Zach Davies again in my life.
Yeah,
but yeah, Paddock is basically the same as Walker Buehler as far as this slate goes. I don't have a problem with him. I think the price tag's a little bit more expensive than it should be. He still does struggle, to get deep in the games because he isn't really that efficient and he's young and, it happens. But not a bad matchup here. He obviously has one of the best changeups in baseball. So facing a lineup that has left-handed power isn't that concerning because he has the arsenal to get them out. But he just kind of falls behind Hamels, falls behind, all these other pitchers for me.
Yeah, I mean, price right next to Hamels. I would go Hamels there basically every time. And then he's close enough on Yahoo to these guys where I'll just pay the extra $6 to $10 and go up to the elite arms and better matchups. So no Paddock for me.
I have him ahead of Buehler.
You have him ahead of Buehler?
Yeah, like slightly.
I think, let's see. I have Paddock. They're right next to each other in raw points. So, yeah, it could go either way. I'm probably not going to get to a lot of either of them on any site. What about Mets bats though? We're showing the old lineup from yesterday. This is what the Mets rolled out yesterday: Echeverria, Rosario, Nimmo, Alonso, Frazier, Broxton, Lagares, and Thomas Nido versus right-hander Zach Davies. So, assuming we get like McNeil, Cano, Conforto, Nimmo in the lineup, Ramos, do you have interest in Mets bats at all?
$3,500 for Robinson Cano on DraftKings is cheap. He's been priced down on basically every site all season long, and I really have no idea why. But I'll keep going there just because of the talent. It's not a good matchup against Paddock, but he's just a better hitter than that when you look at guys that are in that price range. So he stands out. He's 2,900 on FanDuel, so same thing there. Brandon Nimmo's 2,700 on FanDuel, but again, you just have so many cheap hitters on FanDuel that's not really that egregious. And then on Yahoo, $12 for Robinson Cano. So it's really just Cano that stands out to me from the Mets.
Yeah. I like also Ramos at $8 on Yahoo, just super cheap. One of the cheaper catching options on the slate, it looks like. I believe that is all 9 games. I don't think we missed any. So looks like we might make record time here for a 9-game slate. Do you want to look at a few crunches before we get out of here? Just see what we can fit on DK with some of these elite aces.
Yeah.
Which 2 pitchers would you like to see lineups with? I think I got all of the top 4 guys.
DeGrom, Hamels.
Okay, let's see.
I feel like that should be the chalk pairing, but there's so many options that it still won't be that popular.
Okay. DeGrom, Hamels. Let's see where my first one is. On the Mac, I haven't figured out a way to search with 2 guys at once, so I'm going to have to find these guys. I got 5 with DeGrom and Hamels. Here's one. DeGrom, Hamels, Yachty, Goldschmidt, Carpenter, Martinez, Fowler, 5-man. Cardinals stack with Cano, Seager, and Brandon Nimmo. 2-man Mets, 1-off Corey Seager.
It's not like the highest probability lineup, but there's tons of upside there.
Yeah. What else do we have here? DeGrom, Hamels, 5-man Rays stack, Zunino, Choi, Lau, Adames, and Kiermaier. And then Travis Shaw, 1-off 2-man Harper, Odubel Herrera.
What kind of pitching, if you go Red Sox, what kind of pitching do you get stuck with?
All right, let's see if I got Red Sox. Did I not get to Boston at all? All right, I'll run a few Bostons. Josh is sending me the directions to search for 2 guys at once. I think I've tried that, Josh. I don't know if that works on the Mac. Let's run a couple Boston stacks here.
I imagine you're either going to get kind of the ugly part of the Boston order, or you're going to end up having to go to a cheap SP2.
Yeah. Oh wait, I gotta. Oops. Change all my hitters to 100 so I can do this. Yeah, so it's a lot of Martin Perez, Scherzer, Josh Smith. You could do that for correlation reasons, even if you only think Smith is going to go for a few innings. I mean, he's super cheap. If he can get you 10 to 12 DK points, you're going to get a different lineup construction. And plus, you'll have all the quality bats, Martinez, Pierce, Bogarts, Vasquez, Carpenter, 1-off, 2-man, Choi, Low, Rays stack. Or there's Scherzer, Alcantara, 2-man Dodgers stack, Turner, Seager with Betts, JD, Pierce, Nunez, and Vasquez, Carpenter, 1-off. Again, I got Carpenter 1-offs in basically all these. Yeah, I think every single one of these I got a Matt Carpenter 1-off.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, I'll take that every time. Hamels, Perez, Vasquez, Nunez, Bogarts, Betts, Pierce, Yelich, Shaw, 2-man with another Carpenter 1-off. And yeah, it's not that difficult. I mean, you said you like Chassin, Junis in there. I don't think we really like that, but just for differentiation. Here's a 5-man Red Sox with DeGrom, Hamels, Nunez, Bogarts, Betts, JD, Pierce, Jake Knoll, 1-off with O'Hearn and Maldonado.
I mean, that's some ugly 1-offs, but that's a hell of a stack with the pitching.
Yeah, maybe lefty power against Cole. I don't know. O'Hearn, I guess you could do worse. But
Yeah, I mean, you could also make O'Hearn like Chris Davis, which obviously YouTube chat I guess loves. And you know, yeah, you can make that work.
yeah. So a lot of possibilities here. Looks like pretty soft pricing on DK. We mentioned there's a bunch of spots to attack value-wise on Yahoo and FanDuel as well. If you guys want to go check out Yahoo, use that link that I posted in chat earlier. It would really help us out if you sign up under that link. You get 30 Yahoo Sports rewards points, I believe they're called, when you sign up using that link. And again, that would really, really help us out. What also would help us out is if you could give this a like. That does really help us directly, indirectly. It makes us look good for the bosses and such. I won $400 yesterday in the $4 four seamer thanks to your SP suggestion in chat. Zach Davies. Yeah, that was. I think everyone kind of got on to Davies, so I don't think too bold of a call when we saw that Mets lineup. But congrats, Lori.
It started out slow too. Like I was looking at it like this is why I don't roster Zach Davies. He can't even strike out like this team.
Yeah.
And then he finally got there.
Yeah. Doing an NHL show today? I don't think so. That's not in the plans, but we will be in Premium Slack. I have projections on the site. I'll have cheat sheets or something, some sort of premium article for you guys. Anything else that you want to talk about, Adam, before we get off here?
I don't think so. I think it should be a pretty fun slate.
Yeah. Deeper dive with you and Laffy at. Are you guys gonna go at 5 Eastern
5.
today?
Yeah,
Okay.
5 Eastern.
5 Eastern. So check that out. I'm sure they'll uncover more stuff about the pitching. We'll get a better grasp on ownership. Thanks for joining, guys. Tune in to the Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock. And also check out Josh Engelman's video on FC Pro lineup study at noon Eastern. So you're not going to want to miss that one. Thanks, guys.